Hey dancers, it's Kirsten. I'm gonna be brutally honest in this video. Is that okay? Even if you're saying no at the screen right now, I'm gonna keep doing it anyway. I'm gonna spill the tea on just several social faux pas that I've personally seen as quite common and ubiquitous throughout the dance world, and I want to talk about it. I really believe that even though as dancers, we don't necessarily spend a lot of our time talking or prioritizing in general this idea of being effective at socializing and conversation, but it really is a very important life skill. And I'm sure some of you who are watching might be able to agree with and notice some of the things I'll be pointing out. You might feel called out by some of it. Know that I'm also calling myself out first, because I've also committed pretty much all of these faux pas at one time or another in my life, but as someone who's very passionate about communication skills and socializing and connecting with people and making new relationships, whether they be personal or professional, I really think it's such an important life skill to learn how to connect with people and make them feel good and included in your discussion. So I want to talk about some of these social faux pas and what to do instead. And I want you to listen and hopefully take away some creative ideas of like thinking through, how can I use this to be a better person, to make my life better, even further you not only in your personal life but also in your professional life. Communication skills are just incredibly valuable. So let's talk about this. Fire away in the comments if you agree or disagree. Let's just keep it respectful, but I want to hear what you think in the comments. Social faux pas number one is not considering your audience. I have had so many experiences in the dance world specifically, many more in the dance world compared to when I socialize in groups that are not within the dance community. I've noticed this trend of not considering your audience, meaning that sometimes the things that a dancer might choose to talk about are not inclusive at all to the people who might be listening or wanting to connect with them. Maybe it's really specific experiences from your life and your day, or you're talking about specific people or things that someone who's not a dancer might not be able to connect with or relate to. And part of having good conversations is in choosing to share things and ask questions in order to find things in common, in order to connect on ideas or share an idea that then they might have feedback on, so then you can collaborate and learn and grow together, or just discover something new about the other person or about life. And so when we don't consider our audience as dancers in who we're talking to and the kind of things that we start talking about, we can make people feel disconnected from us and very isolated. I've personally had several experiences with this that really stand out to me in my mind. So the first example is, all right, we're really going there. Years and years ago, when I was still in a professional company full-time, I had just had knee surgery. It was a rough time in my life. I wanted nothing more than to be able to dance and straighten my knee and just like walk pain-free. That's just where I was at and where I was coming from. And it was also my birthday party. I invited many of my friends from the company I was with, and we were overall having a nice time. But then, I'm sorry, this was so tone deaf, but it happened, and I'm gonna share it with you. I had to tell my friends who were sitting in a booth with me there, again, celebrating my birthday, I had to ask them to stop exclusively talking about rehearsal drama that I couldn't relate to, because everyone at the table was talking about, oh, did you see this happen in rehearsal and blah, 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 and just complaining about a bunch of things and only talking about things that I honestly wish were problems that I could have at that point. I wish I was in rehearsal. I wish I could relate to it, but I wasn't even there because, again, I was recovering, so I couldn't relate to any of it. And it was just, even though I was like trying to find ways into the conversation, again, to participate, I didn't want to just like act like a victim and be like, they're not talking about what I want, so I'm just going to give up. I was trying, but I had to tell them, like, you guys, can we stop talking about this? Because I can't relate to it. And it's honestly just making me sad because I wish I were able to be in rehearsal right now, but I can't right now. And, you know, they were like, oh, you know, and they kind of changed and they were nice about it. But I've just had many experiences like that inside and outside of dance social circles where I've seen dancers, or I've also, I'm sure, been this person several times where I'll just talk about me, whatever I'm thinking about, and I haven't thought in the past, like, how can this person relate? Do they have anything in what I'm saying that they can connect to, or are they just listening to me monologue about this experience that they haven't lived? They're not going to get it, you know? So I just think it's really important to consider your audience. I've had other experiences, even with well-established adults who are leaders within the ballet world, where we'll be in a group of other instructors and only two people will just talk about students only they teach, only they know how to talk about, and they're just dominating the discussion without thinking, hi, hello, there are 4 other people in this social circle who would like to be able to participate, and we're trying to find ways in, but we're hitting a wall because you guys are talking about things that only you two know to relate on. So the point here is to just consider your audience. Think, what can this person relate to? Or if you don't know, ask questions instead of just monologuing about what is going on in your life, and make sure to check in at several points to see what is their body language. Are they shut down? Have you been talking for a long time? Does it look like they're engaged? Or are you just like going off and saying whatever you want to say? Make sure that you're facilitating an exchange and saying things that people can hopefully start to connect with or relate to, or just keep experimenting with different topics until you find something where the other person feels they can belong and contribute. That's just super important. Consider your audience. The second social faux pas is not including or associating with people who don't get ballet or whatever your genre of dance is. I have just noticed over time that dancers we can be so wrapped up in our own little world and thinking it's the most important and most fascinating thing ever. It's like the best thing a person can do with their life, you know, is to be a dancer. I mean, obviously I'm exaggerating there, but that's just kind of the tone that stereotypically I've picked up on. Just because dancers can sometimes feel like, oh, people don't understand my life experience as a dancer, we can actually shut people out because we're like, oh, they wouldn't understand. That's not only doing a disservice to the dance community, because I think it is something that's really great to include people on, tell people about what the dance world is like and the beauty of dance, get them involved. I think that's so great. But then also it goes 2 ways. As dancers, if we're just like, oh, people, you wouldn't understand, or like, oh, I don't have anything to relate to for someone who's like an engineer, we're also missing out on discovering what things they care about and what things they have to teach us and what they have to offer as a person. We're shutting ourselves off from receiving that. You know, we're not the only people out here living cool lives, doing cool things. Our life experience isn't the only valid one, or one that has something to offer the world. So I think it's really important to challenge yourself as a dancer to be around people that are different than you and maybe don't understand ballet, or even talk to other dancers who you feel maybe you don't have that much in common with. It's just so great to, like, you don't have to be best friends with everyone, but learn to get comfortable being around people who you're not sure if you have everything in common. That is so important for our personal development and growing in our perspective and our character and our wisdom as people. Okay, number 3, man, I have feelings about this one. I know for a fact I used to do this a lot. Number 3 is thinking that you as a dancer are the only one with dreams, who lives out dreams. You're the only one who works hard and who has dreams, or who's been through a struggle for your dream. Okay. I used to be really bad at this one. I thought, just because of my biased personal life experience, you know, I had the experience of training really hard from a young age. And so from the age of around 12 to 14, I was treated by adults or other kids that I would interact with who didn't dance as like, oh, you're so disciplined. Oh, you work really hard. Oh my gosh, you dance. That's so different. That's so cool. Yes, it is unique to be that disciplined and to pursue, especially a professional career from a young age in the arts. It is a unique life experience. However, I'm honestly calling myself out on this one. I know that for me personally, I carried that assumption that I'm so unique. Dancers are the only ones who like really know what it means to work and to suffer and to have like tyrannical bosses and try to live up to impossible standards. Like we're the only ones who really know what that experience is like. Okay, again, speaking to myself, little Kirsten, just because it felt like that until the age of like 22, doesn't mean that was the absolute truth. Just because typically other people go to college or just find in their early 20s or later on in life, they find their thing that they want to work hard at. Or, you know, maybe it's not that other people are pursuing a dream so much as they can relate to working really hard for something or trying to live up to impossible standards or dealing with pressures. You'd be amazed how many people as they get older are able to relate to that. Let's just not act like we're so elite and exclusive, like we're the only people who know what it is to work hard and to have dreams. So I just encourage dancers to like open your mind to see how other people from different life experiences, how they can relate. Ask them like, you know, what are your dreams? What are some things you work really hard at? How's your job? You know, what's your boss like? What are some pressures you face? You know, just get curious to see how someone outside of dance might also be able to relate to certain parts of your experience. Hey dancers, I hope you're really enjoying the video so far. I'm not even going to pretend to hide my excitement. It is of no use. I'm here to announce to you that the Confident Dancer Collective, which is my group coaching program, which has been totally transformed, new and improved since the first time I ran it earlier this year, it is open for enrollment right now. And if you sign up before July 24th, you also not only get access to everything that's amazing in the program for the next 6 months, by the way, you also get a free individual coaching session with me to help you work through whatever goals or challenges you would like to personally address while you're in the program. So sign up before then, but you're probably like, okay, what is it? What are you talking about? This group coaching program is designed to help you and equip you to know everything that you need to know and give you all the tools and the support to be able to build a healthy and confident mindset that helps you to perform your best consistently and feel your personal best as a dancer. We all know that dancing is such a mental game, and yet so many of us are still, despite knowing that, we're not equipped with the tools and the support to actually know how to train our mind to perform well under pressure, or to enjoy dancing instead of being incredibly self-critical, to release perfectionism and comparison, self-doubt, having a hard time trusting yourself or believing in yourself. All of these mental struggles are things that I've seen dancers from all over the world in all different stages of their training or career struggle with, yet so many of us stay stuck and we don't have the support to get through it or the knowledge. And so this coaching program is designed to give you everything that you need to know in order to not only break through those challenges and learn how to be your own best coach and train your mind for success, but also to learn how to really improve your mental health as a dancer and build authentic confidence that feels so good. And I know it won't just help you in dance, it will translate into all other areas of your life. So I want to encourage you to go ahead and click the link in the description to learn everything about what it includes and apply before July 24th so you get that free coaching session. Such a great bonus. And enrollment officially closes August 15th. So sign up before then. Let me know if you have any questions. This program was absolutely incredible the first time I ran it earlier this year, and it's going to be even better this time. So I can't wait to welcome you in, and I will let you go to enjoy the rest of this video. All right, enjoy. The next one, whew, I really have beef with this one. The social faux pas of only talking about yourself. Oh, this one gets so bad with dancers. And again, I used to do this because I had this assumption as a young person. It was quite arrogant, to be honest. Like, oh, I'm living this unique life. Oh, it's so unique and like different to be a dancer and blah, blah, blah. That I would just literally assume, oh, I was the most interesting person in the social circle. Yikes. Yikes, that is so cringy right there. When we believe we're the most interesting person, either that, sometimes it's not the belief that you're the most interesting person. Sometimes it's also just not wanting to engage with the discomfort of not knowing how to ask other people about themselves. We can just start to focus in on just talking about what we know and talking about ourselves because we know how to talk about that instead of engaging with the discomfort of like, asking someone about themselves, because naturally you don't have control over what they say. So sometimes it can be like a discomfort thing, a control thing, an assumption that you're more interesting than them. All of these things can contribute, or just having like a naturally more self-focused, self-centered attitude, it can cause us dancers to just talk about ourselves. And the thing is, a lot of people, especially in American culture, they're very nice. So they'll go along with it, they'll smile, they'll be like, oh, that's really interesting. I cringe really hard thinking about how often I subjected people to just like listening to me and about my life and how cool I was and all that stuff as a young person. And I just thought, oh, they look really interested, they look really engaged. You guys, okay, I try to be really nice. Honestly, there are a lot of times where I'm trying to be respectful, so I'm like nodding and engaging with someone who's monologuing about themselves, and they probably walk away thinking like, wow, she was so interested in what I had to say, and I'm not trying to lie, you know, but I mean, haven't we all had that experience where you don't want to be rude? You might not be like, oh my gosh, tell me more, but you also don't want to be like, oh my gosh, I want to leave. This person has been talking about themselves for 30 minutes straight and I'm a little over it. So for me, sometimes I'll try to be warm and just kind of obliging, but just because I'm sure like some people have walked away being like, wow, she was so interested. Just because people look interested does not mean that they want to have a second interaction with you, because you might have just monologued the whole time and not asked them one question about themselves. People like to talk about themselves. I mean, you might like it. So remember, you're talking to another human being. They like it too. It feels honoring, it feels inclusive, it feels validating for someone to want to know about you. So remember, please just be conscious of how much you only talk about yourself. Remember to allow other people and invite other people to talk about themselves. Seek to find them as interesting. If you don't know how they're interesting, maybe you haven't asked them enough questions yet. And that leads me to my next social faux pas point I want to talk about, which is not asking anyone else questions. Don't overthink this, you guys. It is simple. Just ask them. Start asking them just simple questions like, what do you like to do in your free time? How did you get into that? What do you like about it? You know, I'm not saying interrogate people, but ask questions that show interest and that collect more information about that person so that they feel included, they feel important, they feel validated, and they feel like you want to know them. That's such a wonderful feeling. And you'll notice like some of the most influential and well-respected, well-liked people are not the people who just say, I'm awesome, and they just talk about themselves and they're the coolest person ever. They're not always the most interesting person in the room. They're the most interested. Be the most interested person in the room about other people, whether it's your peers in dance or people you meet outside of dance, or even talking to teachers, or adult figures. They have a lot of life experience you can learn from. So just challenge yourself to get curious, ask a few questions, seek to get people talking about themselves more than you just talk about yourself. I'm still working on this because I always have a lot of thoughts and ideas just bouncing around in my head all the time, but it is such an important skill to challenge yourself to not talk about yourself all the time. Second, ask people questions. The last one is simple. It's the social faux pas of only talking about ballet, and I'll add a part B to this, talking about the frustrations and the drama in ballet. You guys, it's boring to only talk about dance all the time. It's important to, yes, love what you do, analyze it. I think there's this culture, especially in the professional realm, of like, you gotta eat, sleep, breathe it. Okay, sure. But it's super important, I think, to be a well-rounded person and to learn how to talk about other things. And by talking about other things, you remind your brain that there's more to life than just dance. So yeah, it can put things into perspective in really, really helpful ways. But then also I've noticed that dancers tend to connect a lot on common complaints and like things that are wrong or annoying or frustrating. Personally, I don't want to build relationships off of that as a foundation. I don't think that's aspirational or healthy at all. So though it's great to have friends who can carry your burdens with you and support you through a tough day. I'm not saying never talk about it, but ask yourself, do I stay in my comfort zone and rely on just sharing common complaints that other people can relate to in order to connect with other people? If so, challenge yourself to talk about positive things you're learning, things you're interested in, nice things that you want to celebrate and notice. Try to connect with people on that too. Okay, dancers, I hope you enjoyed this video. Yes, it was a roast, but I hope that you found it helpful. I hope you related to some of these points, and I hope you know that even if you have committed all of these social faux pas, there is still hope for you, because I have too. And now I'm very happy with my social life, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like I'm a pretty effective people person. But I've learned this over time. So let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!